and I don't care where you are in the world, and I don't care where you're from, and we don't care what you want to do as long as what you want to do, you truly believe in it. Hello, everyone. Hola, mis amigos. You're listening to Oh My God, Hi, Hijo de Dios. Hola. With me, George Lopez, porque ¿sabes qué? Let's do the show, porque I got a lot of things to do. I gotta go to that dry cleaner ahí. My kid fell, se pegó la cabeza. I gotta go get some Neosporin Paul.
You know what George is?
Oh, I'm sure he's around here somewhere.
What's his name?
George Lopez.
George Lopez.
Oh my God!
OMG.
OMG! Hi!
Oh my God, hi! Today on Oh My God, hi! We have Mr. Andy Vargas, who, listen, I love people that are talented, clearly, but I love people that I respect, that have integrity, but something that I'm not, that I always admire in people that are, is a good husband, a great father, a great partner, and a tremendous love for his family and love for his friends. And that is the guy that's sitting across from me, Mr. Andy Vargas, who you will know in music. His dad was a mariachi, but also if you've been over the last few years to Las Vegas at the House of Blues, that Andy is the lead singer and has toured the world with Mr. Carlos Santana. And we have a special announcement today, but also I just think it's one of the things about doing the podcast is to get people to know the people that I'm close to. And in seeing the videos and in seeing the performances, when someone's great on stage, a lot of times they're not necessarily what you want them to be off stage. But I got a lot of respect for this brother right here. And it's awesome to be able to have this show and have Andy on. Welcome, Andy, to Oh My God, hi, dude.
Man, George, thank you. Thank you for all those words, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Happy to be here, man. This is amazing.
Andy, introduce Luke, please.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have Luke Youngblom here visiting us from Nashville. And Luke is the music side to 800 Pound Gorilla with Cruisin' Street Records. And, he's a wise music business entrepreneur, and it's been awesome to be able to work with him and start building, what we have here now, in this, in this business venture here.
Hey, Luke, who was musical in your family? How did all this become? How did it come about? I'm always interested in how somebody finds the way to their kind of, I wouldn't say career, passion, let's say.
Sure. No, that's a great question. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Music was always in my family. My mom actually, this is, I don't know if anyone will know what this is, but she actually toured with a group called Up With People when it toured the world. They did all sorts of renditions. They performed for halftime shows. They performed with the Rockettes. I think it's still going, but she did that when she was in college. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that. But
if anybody remembers Up With People, they were like the Osmonds times like 10. They all wore the same outfits, and they sang songs from that era. They were very enthusiastic, and they were all great singers and dancers. Right, Luke, right? Like that?
Yeah. I mean, they did like a ton of Billy Joel covers. Anything that was popular at the time, they would perform these for like sometimes it was schools, sometimes it was for theaters, and they would stay with host families around the world. They would go globally.
And they've maybe performed at the White House, at any diplomatic, probably the United Nations, anywhere around the world. They all toured together. There might be a book that they were a little bit crazy off of the Up With People, but because it's hard to keep that many people like good, because their reputation was like squeaky clean, just all American, beautiful.
Very
music.
much so.
Yeah, that's okay.
Very much so.
That's awesome, man. Yep. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and that's how it started. I mean, music was always being played in the house, and then over the years, I wanted to pursue it and did the whole production thing. And that's really kind of how I got started. Got my degree in music business and got an opportunity to go to LA. This was, 10 years ago now, to run a small sound department for a small production company out there. And they would do Army training videos and I would do all the sound editing for these little, films. And then that expanded to, the way anyone would, moving to a new city and starting out would be a network thing. So,
how did somebody come to you and say, hey man, you want to come to LA and do this thing? Like who was that person?
That was, so the company was called, at the time, it was Quest Pictures. And there was a friend who knew a friend, that whole story that said, hey, looking for interns. I went out there. About 6 months, they hired me on to start running that little sound department. And I'm actually not sure where they're at right now, but that led to me getting into more production and networking with some folks out there. And that's a big decision to make, because now you have to leave where you were from and then come out here, probably try to find a place to live, try to find a way to exist, right? You're starting this gig here, you're starting to put things together, and it works out for you. Oh, yeah, absolutely. The funny thing is, all of us know LA ain't cheap. So that was like, it was a constant grind. And then to be able to eventually start making money in the music business was really, that to me was the goal. So as things progressed, it was just a blessing from there. And then, there's a lot of people that probably would say no and not go. I don't know, I guess it goes back to how much you believe in yourself or you believe in an opportunity. Like, you may believe in yourself, but also you have to believe in the opportunity. Will this opportunity get me to where I think I may want to go? It's better than what I got here. But then he said coming to Los Angeles expensive, and now you're kind of starting on this day one thing, right? And then you just start picking things up, start doing those videos. And then what was your next step after that? Yeah, so after that, you're absolutely right. That was leading me down a path of getting into the film audio side of things, which is great, but I was being kind of dragged towards that mixer, audio engineer kind of profession. And I was like, I don't know if that's me. I really miss doing the production. I really want to be the creative behind creating the project and not necessarily do the what I like to call being an audio doctor, right? Making things sound great and scrubbing audio files, all the time. So anyway, so that led into production, and that's where I started doing small little gigs and I won't bore everyone with that story, but it propelled me to want to move to Nashville. I really liked Nashville. I liked it was closer to home for me. That's Michigan. So it was kind of a balance, and I could see the industry growing. Right, technology's allowed us to work from anywhere, and back in the day, you wanted to do film, you had to be in LA or New York, right? One of the two. Now, Nashville is booming with more than country, and I saw that growth earlier on, and I wanted to get ahead of that curve, and come out here to do production and work with pop acts or find that pocket of artists that were doing more than just country. Right. And then that led to working with a entertainment lawyer who was going to help me start my LLC. And that lawyer just so happened to represent 800 Pound Gorilla Records and said, hey, before you do that, we just bought a record label. Do you want to talk to us about running that? So fast forward 3 years, here we are. And then you see the steps, right? So you see, if he doesn't take the first step, he doesn't get to Nashville. And then when he gets to Nashville, it's not just country music anymore. If anybody knows what's going on in Nashville, almost every tour manager, a lot of rock stars, a lot of singers, incredible musicians at every bar, at every club, anywhere you go during the day, incredible writers, incredible opportunity. Even at the airport when you land, there'll be somebody singing in the airport. So it's all music over there. So if you want to be in that side of it, in the agent side, if you want to be in the music side or in the creative or in the the nuts and bolts of the production of it, that's a great place to be, right? So in 2005, 800 Pound Gorilla
when I did America's Mexican on HBO, we met in New York, and I sat down with them, and I signed the contract, and Nick's like, at UTA now, it's like, hey man, these guys are coming up. They got this thing. They're going to do your thing. They're going to release it. Grammy nominations for the next 2, Tall, Dark, and Chicano, America's Mexican. And then I don't really talk to these guys for a while, and then Nick says to me, you have a label as part of your deal with 800 Pound Gorilla, and then those guys are now, what is it, Luke, the largest independent recording company in the world?
Yeah, from a comedy standpoint, yeah. We have, and I'll speak briefly for the comedy side. Yeah, they have over 250 acts now. We're now the record label for Kevin Hart's LOL. We're the record label for Netflix and all their comedy specials. We're actually, funny enough, we're the record label for ATC as well. So we've really just kind of expanded, and the comedy label took off very fast. And just with smart leadership and the team, the great team we have there, they decided, hey, comedy's doing so well, but we understand there are so many different entertainment mediums outside of comedy where all things intersect at the end. Entertainment is entertainment. So they wanted to break into the music division, which is when they brought me on, and then they wanted to break into podcasting, and they now own Podcast Network in New York. And rights management and a pictures division. So they're really expanding into all these entertainment arms, but it started with comedy. And I know, George, you were such a huge, I'm speaking for the team, but you were a huge part of that. You were such a big act for them up front. And I know they appreciate all of your hard work.
They're great. No, they're great. So in talking to Luke and knowing Nick, and they say to me, you have a music company, you have an opportunity to create a music label. And then I say, well, I like that because, I don't know if it's difficult to do anything successful. I don't know if it's more difficult now with social media and all the avenues there, or that kind of stuff, but I just know that it's virtually impossible to take a good first step. Like, you don't want to take 5 first steps. You want to take a good first step, and how much natural ability, and how much natural talent, and that however the world turns and whatever goes on in the world, entertainment, singers, actors, musicians, writers, producers, that ball just keeps spinning. As people go out, some people have longer careers, some people don't, but it's always going and it's always giving opportunity. And then I thought that, well, I don't think anybody expects me only to help Latinos. I would hope that they wouldn't, because I think when I started, I maybe kind of wanted to help Latinos, but then you realize that you can't help anybody that doesn't want to do the work.
Doesn't want to help themselves. Huh?
So when I did the first show, I would say, hey, listen, man, let's just do what's right for the show and forget about kind of doing favors or trying to build things by just having the people be of one particular color. And I said, I don't really think that that's the way that I want to do this, because it's not the Latino community that fails. It would be George Lopez that failed. And, somehow people think that we're just part of this one community. We're not. We're individuals. I think in trying to help a couple of writers that were Latinos and Latinas, they weren't prepared for the daily grind of going into a place and writing for 10, 12, 14 hours a day and being creative 10, 12, 14 hours a day, week after week, month after month, year after year. It's very difficult. So there was one writer that was Latino, Latinx, and that person would do the crossword puzzle when all of the other writers were working on the script, but the crossword puzzle was in the script. So if you looked at that person, it looked like they were writing in the script, but really they were doing a crossword puzzle because couldn't contribute. And that person didn't know that all the other writers knew that she was doing a crossword puzzle. Wait a minute. So that person didn't know that they knew that person was doing a crossword puzzle. And after about a couple of weeks of it, when that person came in the morning, all of the scripts had crossword puzzles in them. Every 40 pages of crossword puzzle. So when they sat there to get started, everybody was in on the joke except the person who was doing the crossword puzzle. So when they said, hey, let's start working, turn to page 10, and that person opened page 10 and it was a crossword puzzle. But so it was 9 and 7 and 6 and 5. And, you know, it's kind of a cruel practical joke, but it reminds somebody that they know when you're not working and they know when you're over your head.
Yeah.
And for some people that work that hard, you're not allowed to sit there and do a crossword puzzle when everybody's fighting for their financial and their career. The show goes, you know, that show could have gone 4 episodes, it could have gone 40, it went 120, and no other one had it. So, you know, when they would come to me and they would say, you know, what should we do about this person? I said, hey, man, what's the best for the show? And that person didn't come back. So, but cut to now with the opportunity with 800 Pound and Luke and all the guys. And I said, you know, I think I might want to do a record label, you know, and I think I might. And, you know, like Andy and I were, I wouldn't say like we called each other all the time. We had a lot of respect for each other when we would see each other with Carlos. And I remember seeing all the Supernatural videos and Maria and all the Smooth. And I was at the Super Bowl when Andy and Carlos Santana band in San Diego played in the Super Bowl. And I'm like, this dude is dope, man. I mean, this guy is a Chicano, great singer, looks great, family guy. And I called Andy and I said, hey, man, I got a chance to do this record label. And I think I can get people, I can get their attention, but I want to have somebody there that knows what it's like to do the hard work and knows what it's like to be given an opportunity and to do the work and continue to perform at a high level. So I called Andy and you came on. What was interesting about it to you?
Man, I was inspired because at the time of my life, you know, I was looking to do something just like that, you know, and to want to help others, you know, you know, I it's funny because I always thought that George Lopez should have a music label, man. You know, I always thought that, you know, because, you know, and you love music, and it's because we know each other well, you know, at the Santana shows and everything, and then also all the work that we do outside, you know, for philanthropy, you know, for your foundation and everything, you know, which you do so amazing. I just love music, man, and so it was. I
really do. I don't think anybody realizes how much, you know.
And you play the guitar well, man, you know, and you know, if it's okay to say, you know, you got up and jammed with the band, you know, at your foundation's event. And so I just always thought it was a no-brainer because, you know good stuff, you know, good music and hard workers.
Yeah. And so in our conversations with Luke, we found another partner there that's willing to go down the road with us, right?
Yeah, Luke.
Yeah.
You know, you know, all the 800 Pound team. That's what we're talking about, right?
Right.
Yeah. And you know, we've you know, we talk about ideas and about the future and stuff, and so we're building all those ideas up right now. But this opportunity to you know, to speak to everyone who's out there watching this here now. Artists who, you know, who have amazing talents and who are working, you know, day and night, because now you could make all your music from home,
right?
You know, and we got some amazing singers, man, that are always, and vocalists, rappers, you know, bands and stuff that are out there that are just looking for an opportunity, looking for a chance, you know. So there's so
we'd like to make the announcement. Do you want to make the announcement?
Oh man, this is amazing. I'm going to make this announcement. Yeah. So we're now starting a collaboration, George Lopez and 800 Pound Gorilla, a new record label, George's record label, that's called Malas Palabras. You know, and
well, it's not just my record label; it's yours. It's ours.
Brother. Well, you know what?
It belongs to the people, to all the people.
That's, you know, I'll say this is because I love working with George and his vision and stuff, and I'm here to support George and the artists that we all believe in and stuff. And with the help of Luke right there, man, with your genius and 800 Pound Gorilla over there, to be a machine.
Thank you.
You know, we'll hear work, with the artists and all the things that artists need and think about and stuff, and being an artist, man.
Okay, so from this point forward, we now have a record label called Malas Palabras, and I don't care where you are in the world, and I don't care where you're from, and we don't care what you want to do as long as what you want to do, you truly believe in it. And then we'll present it, and we have a partner in Luke, and we want to find talented people and allow them and give them an opportunity to create their own material, to be involved in their own material,
yes,
but to use our company, Malas Palabras, as a platform for the young talent of all kinds,
yes,
to get their start in this business. And we are 100% behind the talent.
You know what I loved about your vision, George, was how you wanted to support the artist and their vision. And, in a day like today where, and this we really loved because 800 Pound Gorilla was on the same page, was, in a day like, the music business it's slimy, man, and, people get, into bad deals all the time. And, we have been there, man.
What are some of the bad deals, Luke? Would one of the bad deals be Elvis's manager, Colonel Tom Parker, putting his friends on records that they didn't write on, and they would get paid on in perpetuity?
Yeah, I can't probably speak for that specifically.
Oh, let me say alleged then. Then let me say, if you're not going to jump in with me, then let me say alleged, so I don't get sued by, Colonel Tom Parker's granddaughters.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the bad deals are where I think the most common is what happens is an artist is so geeked about, I finally get a record deal, I finally get this opportunity, and they sign their life away. They end up giving up all their rights to, sometimes they even lose creative control, where the label starts to, basically dictate who you become as an artist. And you've seen a lot of that change over time, due to the fact, like Andy mentioned, that you have artists creating this stuff in their bedrooms and throwing it out on SoundCloud and doing it completely independently without the support of a label. That's gotten labels to focus on, how they change these deal structures and how they approach an act. And you'll still get some of those deals, but I know for our company, we never, ever look at an artist as like, a moneymaker necessarily. I think, of course, we have to be in business, so it has to make financial sense. At the same time, it's really a partnership, because if they're not successful growing their art and being the artist they want to be, and that becomes something, I mean, I always say this, no matter what, to any artist, at the end of the day, you're the one who has to be the face of it and perform it, right? So if you're performing something you don't believe in, that will eventually show through to the audience. They've gotten smarter and smarter. So you want the artist to be genuine to their art, and we want to allow the artist to do that. So we try to stay out of the creative.
What would make what would make a young artist just sign something or be so blinded by an opportunity that they don't see maybe down the road that they're giving away they might not even understand what creative control is, right?
Yeah. Money?
Yeah, I mean, Andy, you could probably speak to that as well. I mean, I'll punt it to you, being the successful artist you are.
No, man. Well,
what do they see, Andy? What they go blind, I think. You can look at something and just kind of lose all of your judgment because you think that maybe signing that paper, you're a star, but really, I think if you do that, you'd be anything but that, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, right off the bat, sometimes they don't come in with the right representation, some people that they trust to tell them, hey, I've been here for a while. You got to look out for this, and trust this. And then people actually do hear that information and they don't care because, they think the grass is greener on the other side. And sometimes, you look at like the front end thinking that, we got to get past this. Like back in the day, you'd have to sell, you'd have to be like platinum, double platinum to get back your,
right.
to recoup, what you spent on your record to start
right.
making $1. As a matter of fact, everyone got paid before the artist first, So it was harder to make back your money, and you'd have to be a really successful artist to really hit. But what would make them jump? Especially nowadays, just they don't know. It's you think like people pump you up and say, yeah, you're gonna be big, and they're like, okay, cool, no problem, let's go, and let's get this thing going, and then you fall short,
right.
And so the business today, you really don't need to put that much into it, but you need to really be focused, right? And you need to know where you're putting your stuff, who's behind it, just really, putting your ducks in order. You know what I'm saying? And you have your best opportunities. Like you really can see where the dollar goes,
right.
rather than just throwing a bunch of money at something and seeing what happens.
What surprised you, Luke, about having the label and about doing all the things? What are the things that that make you happy? That say, I'm in this business for the love of this. And what do you see, and how does that make you feel when something goes, like when something just surprises you and somebody hits, or you find somebody, or what is that? What are we looking?
Yeah, no, I think the best feeling, I'll take a step back. The artists we love the most are the artists that are willing to step outside the box. Because today's day and age is when we get so many artists coming to us, or a lot of people that want to do this old traditional method, they get caught in this mindset from the 80s and 90s and in the early 2000s that you sign a record deal, you get this big advance. This advance is going to pay for everything. All of a sudden, the fame comes right after. And what ends up happening is, well, I shouldn't say what ends up happening. That model's gone, essentially. Right now, it's tough to get an advance. And artists that are willing to say, well, what do I need to do to take advantage of new platforms? Social media drives this business. So does technology. The moment Apple comes out with a new product that has this new feature and opens it to Instagram or TikTok or things like that, you see all these creators all over the world take advantage of this. And then that drives traffic. I mean, TikTok is probably the number one driving social media platform for the music industry right now. People are literally launching their careers off of this stuff, and being open to breaking out. So answering your question, I think when an artist comes to us and goes, I want a record deal with this kind of an advance, I think you can tell it's a older way of thinking. Artists that are like, hey, I'm willing to do anything. Let's do a TikTok campaign. Let's do all this stuff to take advantage of these new mediums that we can grow this project of mine or this brand of mine.
What the how does it work in TikTok? Because I do know that how does that work, Andy, in TikTok? Somebody releasing some music on TikTok.
Well, so there's songs that TikTok already have within their system, right? That you like, let's say you have song A that goes into the TikTok system,
right.
And then people want to do a video for it, right? So each time they use that song, it's the song creators and the composers, they get paid per usage. But here's a ticket, and Luke, you can jump on this, but they don't pay after. Like, let's just say I used a song by War, right? So I use it in my video. That's one pay,
right?
So whatever that goes, right? But if I go and all of a sudden my video becomes a hit, Lowrider, or excuse me, whoever War, they don't get paid each time it turns over, and that's not cool,
right?
So if you got let's say lots of people using that particular song, then now the other place is if you're an artist like Dogface, let's just say, for example, you know, and he has, you know, he's drinking ocean spray, you know,
Sure.
on his,
Yep.
you know, on his skateboard, going down the freeway. Well, you know, then you know, a company will come in and sponsor you to come in and do your you know, your video, right? Sponsorship is really where it's at. So you get a fan base, you get, you know, and then you put the little sponsored, you know, tag, you know, if you'd like and stuff. But that's really where you can make some money at it, where, you know, labels can help support that. But there's companies, man, that you can pay that will, you know, that will come in and bring a whole production just for this little TikTok, you know, video, right? And they do this, like, you know, monthly thing. So TikTok's big because so many eyes are on it.
Yeah, I'll add to that. You brought up a great point. That's a perfect example of, like, that Fleetwood Mac song. Mm-hmm. That comes out, that video goes viral. Fleetwood Mac all of a sudden started trending on all the DSP platforms. Mm-hmm. So that's exactly how the industry is working now, where it's not go sell my record, come to my page, listen to my music. It's social media is driving traffic back to the music platforms.
Okay.
And that's a great example of it. So
yeah. So Dogface now, you know, ocean spray, little freeway thing, does his thing. He's dancing. He's starting to. Does Luke know about what Dogface is doing?
No, not yet.
Oh, check this out, Luke. Check this out.
Oh well,
Okay.
well, you know, their Dogface is working on a record himself. He's looking, you know, to get into, you know, the business and stuff. And so, you know, they have I don't know if we speak too much on it because I don't know how much it's, you know,
right.
It's really out there. But yeah.
But he's working on his own music.
Working on his own music and stuff, and you know, it's definitely, you know, interesting. You know, I heard the track's banging. So wherever, you know, he does his thing, it's gonna be dope. You know, he's got a lot of great people involved behind doing his thing, and stuff. And you know, it was crazy because, you know, I'm getting hip to all of this, you know, these videos that are getting big, and people are like breaking. I mean, before there were demos, you know, that
you had a demo,
came
yeah.
in and, right, but now they're videos, and now it's, you know, it's this TikTok audience, you know, or the, you know, social media audience that becomes the base of your fan base, and then you feed them, and then you could really go and it can multiply and explode. You know what I mean? But the way people are getting people's attention is pretty crazy, man. You know, like Billie Eilish's brother, you know, contacting, you know, a producer, you know, like through kind of spam, you know,
right?
You know, when they were kind of making music in their bedroom. You know what I mean? And so just to get your attention, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of people that are really hungry for it.
And Billie Eilish, like, that's almost like what somebody would say, maybe an overnight sensation or overnight star. Luke, how did that happen so fast?
It seems like that. It always seems that way. I feel like if you dig, though, she's been doing it for a while. As far as I've heard of some of her stuff, but they were remixes, right? Usually you start with DJs doing a remix, you put out a few songs here, and then it starts to snowball. But the mainstream absolutely happened, I think, when they released that first album. Or what is it? Things, something in the dark, right? Whatever that project.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is exciting. No. This is exciting time.
Hey, by the way, shout out to George, too. Speaking of music, I just saw the Joyner Lucas music video. And that was awesome. That might have been my favorite rap video I've seen in a long time.
Okay, so you know, for anybody, I mean, everybody knows. I mean, but listen, man, I'm a 60-year-old dude. I'm not really kind of on the platform. Like, I look at TikTok. You know, my daughter does TikTok stuff and gets, you know, paid, and found a partner in TikTok, a writing partner, a creative partner. Shoot. That's how you can do it and be successful. People will see it. Right. If it's has potential to go viral, it'll go viral. Yeah. You can't keep something that's really good down because, you know, you're going to get eyes on it anyway. So Joyner Lucas did the video with the African American guy, and then the white guy in that video where they were talking. One spoke and the other spoke, and I don't know what the name of the song is, but it was really powerful, you know. So I, you know, find them on Instagram and send them a DM and say, man, that was some really nice stuff. I appreciate that as somebody that looks to make statements and things about, you know, change. It's a tough look at race. And then he hit me back and said, hey, man, I got this idea about this whole Latino family and an idea for a song. He was doing, Eminem was on the song, and he wanted me to be the father in the video, and the song got leaked. So that was gone. And then I think either he hit me back and said, hey man, I got this video I want you to be in. Got Wahlberg and Diddy and you, and can I come on Saturday? And you know me, man, on Saturday, dude, I don't leave the room. And I said, yeah, come on. So we did it in January, and then it just came out maybe last 3 weeks ago, and it's fun, man. Zima, and Joyner's great, and it can rap, and you know, it's millions and millions of views, and it's cool for me, man. I mean, in the outtakes at the end, it was fun to do. It was fun to do, and you know, helps me with the kids. You know, they see me and what am I, Mr. Electric, and then I'm fucking Barry Chihuahua, fucking thing of the show. So it's great to ride that wave with somebody who is like a rapper, like a real rapper. Those are like a real.
He's good.
Yeah, real hardcore rapper and being that part. But the exciting thing about the three of us is getting the message out on Oh My God High that you have a home here. Like you. What's the number to call? Hey, Grant, what's the number to call?
818-533-1843.
818-533-1843. You can leave your, what would people leave? Their number, can they perform on the voicemail? Whatever. Send a video on IG, but we're going to try to find somebody, and we want to make somebody not as a novelty, but somebody that can have a career in music.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and you know, here we are right now, and I'd like to see it, you know, in a year. I'd like to have somebody in here that we saw take the path down the road with them and see them get an opportunity to do something incredible.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. Light up someone's life.
Absolutely. I would add, I mean, for me personally, and I think, George, you have such an amazing audience in general. I always want to throw the question to you that you threw to me earlier on, which is why music for you? Why is music so important to you and your involvement in and out throughout the years of your career?
Well, I'm going to tell you, and as you were saying that, like I spent so much time alone growing up that if I didn't listen to the radio and if I didn't have music around me, I'm not sure how creative I would have been. You know, my grandfather was not my biological grandfather, but his nephew worked at a record pressing plant in Van Nuys. And he would bring the secondary records that were either the label was a little bit off, or it had a scratch in the record, or was a little bit tweaked. So he brought Songs in the Key of Life. He brought Captain Fantastic. He brought Marvin Gaye stuff. He brought Kiss. He brought Bob Dylan and Steely Dan, and he brought in the 70s, man. He brought Confunction. This motherfucker brought. I would take all the fucking Mexican records we like, the Spanish, Musiquarium, Stevie Wonder, Spanish, Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy, Spanish. I throw that Spanish shit over. I heard enough of it on Saturday mornings to remind me every time I hear it now I smell fucking Lysol because of my grandmother cleaning the fucking the house. But if it wasn't for that, I'm not sure that I think my love of comedy got started in the love of music. So that's why music still means, when you're alone, it's like your friend. And then when you start to hear the words to songs, and I mean, listen, man, I'm trying to play, this is how fucking old I am. I'm trying to play Midnight at the Oasis on my motherfucking guitar. The dude that wrote Midnight on the Oasis didn't spend as much time writing it as I'm trying to get to at least the words of it. You know, but when I break it down, I'll come in here and play Midnight at the Oasis, but nobody's ever heard it. It's a great song. But those are the things that, how to put a song together, how to put jokes together, how to feel like you're not alone, play music. How to feel like, you know, in 1984 when I was in Indianapolis and just eating at every show, how to feel like you're not homesick, play Lowrider on your way up to the stage. all of those things got me to where I am today. And that's why, it's all the reason why I asked you why you came out here. That in New York, when we sat down and they said, hey, man, these guys are going to be big, that I said, all right, and there I am, helped you guys, helped me. And then here we are 16 years later, and now we have Malas Palabras, and we're going to find somebody, male, female, young, old, doesn't matter, that's talented in music, that wants to be in the music business. And then we all have friends in music. Luke, you got right? So we're going to open every door and every avenue and every person that's willing to help us help you to become whatever you desire to be. You can't say a star, but you want longer than that. But to be somebody who's creative and who's doing music.
Be successful at the business of it too. To like educate. Right, Luke?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I feel like sometimes half my job is educating the artist on, hey, here's something that you need to pay attention to, right? Mm-hmm. And again, our company, just to reiterate, in our partnership with each of you, really we're just an extension of your team. That's how we look at ourselves. That again, we're not going to be that label that's going to come in and steer the ship, say do this, do this, do this. What we can provide our label services. At the end of the day, we just want the artist to create and be an artist, yes. Right? The last thing you want to focus on is how am I going to monetize all my stuff? How am I going to collect on here? How am I going to get on this platform? How am I going to get the marketing that goes into this? How do I do a social media campaign on TikTok? How does all that go together? There's so much business behind just releasing a project now, and that's where we come in and support that. But to be fair too, I mean, we also like to think differently. So instead of just a straight, hey, let's just do a song, let's just do an album or EP. How can we think outside the box and approach this differently? Maybe we do a video and a podcast in conjunction with the release of a project. All of these things intersect at the end of the day, and the more you can touch on these different avenues in today's world, the more you can really successfully impact a project. So.
Well, I think it would be exciting for anybody to be given that opportunity, because sometimes that's all that you need. I mean, when somebody, I'm not going to say the name because I think if anybody knows. Nobody wanted to help me. And you can't expect anybody to do the work for you. So when nobody wants to help you, you still have to continue to do the work going forward. I just celebrated 42 years in stand-up, and I would say that without the helping hand of that one person, if I wasn't ready and even a little bit beyond ready at that time, that person could have gave me 10 helping hands and it wouldn't have helped, because whenever the opportunity presents itself, you have to be ready. Like I did showcases for 14 months. And in the beginning, it was no, and that person stayed there with me, and no, and then it started to become yes, and then it's more yeses. But then that if you eat it one night, that maybe the word gets out that you're not what this person is trying to sell you as. And then I got the president of Warner Brothers TV to come and see me, and then we got the president of ABC TV to come and see me, and then they both came on the same night. And then the next day, I had an opportunity to do my own show. And then here we are almost 20 years later, and it's still on, hasn't gone away. And I learned the business of it by doing the radio, but also I asked Luke, what made you want to go out there to do that job? Is every step you take is going to prepare you for a step that you're going to take in the future, maybe whether you realize it or not. And quitting is quitting. Like you quit, you're out. But even, because it's not going to be easy, but even when it's tough, you don't give up. Maybe you don't, entirely devote everything to it, but at least you're still in it. You're still moving. Your heart's still beating, and you still love it. That eventually when you get through the trial by fire, trial by failure, trial by no, that if the fucking one ray of light can hit you, and you can take that one ray of light and turn it into, like almost what Carlos would say, you turn it into the sun. you take a ray and turn it into a sun, and now you're starting to do what you need to do. But then you have the nicks and the bangs and the experience of what it took to get there, and now you're not looking for other people for answers. You are prepared to give your own answers instead of somebody answering for you.
Amen.
Which is a little bit tricky when people talk for you. You know, I love Mayan, and you know, when Ann and I were married, Ann was very different than I was. You know, Ann was a very kind of control person all of the time, which I'm sure I'll get in trouble for saying this, but I wasn't. Like, I didn't feel like you needed to beat people up to get people to work for you. I always believe that if you are respectful of their work, maybe they're not the right people, then you replace them. But to just throttle somebody 100% of the time and expect them to want to go to work for you, they'll be like, man, fuck that dude. Because it doesn't work like that, man, especially now. You have to have respect for everybody. You could be disrespectful in the record company back in the day, but now you can't. You have to have respect for an artist at whatever level, because that person that is on TikTok is the star. That person where Billie Eilish's brother sent a spam email now dominates the music business. And if you're going to be the person that's beating people up, you're never going to get back in that lane where everything is happening.
Yeah. And sometimes things don't happen, and you just got to know, you know, give it your best, 100%. And when something doesn't go through, my motto is give it your 100%, because if it doesn't go through, you know you gave it 100, right, and it wasn't meant for you. So what's to come? Because sometimes some doors have to close for others to open. Right. You know, and just keep on looking at what's to come. But man, you know, that's what's exciting.
You know what? We're excited, Luke, man. Thanks for taking this time and talking to us. But you know, you'll be back, absolutely, and as we start to kind of get in the weeds, and see who's out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, happy to be on. Thank you guys and thank you, Andy, George.
Thank you,
nice to see you finally. I know we've talked a bunch of times.
Yeah, right on, brother. All right, Luke. Thanks, bro.
Thanks, guys.
That's Luke, our partner in Malas Palabras. Malas Palabras. Hi. Malas Palabras means bad words. So we are Malas Palabras Records, and get out there with it. So, you know, I always ask Luke, who was first? I guess, you know, people would say, how did you know you were funny? When did you realize that you could sing? Because singing is different, you know. I think because your instrument is your soul and your breath and this is like the guitar. It's the instrument, but your passion, which you have to carry it with you. You can't. Your commitment, your desire, your pain, all comes through that instrument. And when did you know? Because, you know, people start singing in church, or they start singing in family get-togethers, or they sing, you know, on a dare. How did you know that you could sing?
Man, you know, my dad was a singer. My dad was, you know, a mariachi singer. So yeah. I just heard it, and so I just was always singing along with him, or listening to all of his records, you know, putting these big style headphones on, sitting next to, you know, the record players and stuff. And I used to love those amplifiers, you know, that were connected with the, you know, that you connect the you know, the record players to, because it sounded so good and so real. And, you know, it's just kind of like all I knew was to be asked to sing at family get-togethers along with my dad and stuff. So I think after a while, it was, you know, getting past the nerves to sing in front of a larger audience, you know. And once, you know, that was done, you know, meaning, you know, once I started feeling more comfortable, you know, I started working with my dad and spending those hours after school, you know, doing training and exercising and singing in the mirror, all that stuff. And it's actually what my dad and I do now with kids. You know, we're teaching them voice and stuff. So I'm able to pass this on. But you know, I just I love to sing. I sang in English and Spanish. You know, it was just natural for me. It just didn't seem,
Sure.
you know. You know, I would always, you know, tell my mom, I'm gonna leave. You know, when I get upset, I'm out of here. I'm going to LA. I'm gonna follow my dreams. And you know.
Yep.
And so she knew that I was on a path, you know, to go do something. And you know, it's so funny because there was a guy that was across the street that would come and visit his aunt, and he worked for Sony, man.
There you go, man. Shit.
You know, and I would talk to him and talk to him all the time. I'd go over and I'd leave messages, you know, on the door, you know, and I was like, you know, like 14 at the time, you know. So my mom knew I was.
But that's crazy, man. So your dad's a mariachi, you're singing with your dad, you're getting over your nerves, you're working on stuff, and then the dude that goes and visits the person across the street works for Sony.
Yeah.
I mean, incredible.
Yeah. I mean, my story was, you know, I sang in a little group around town as well in high school.
Yeah.
You know, we used to go instead of well, I played football as well, but we'd go to the football field at lunch and sing, like, you know, four Latinos singing like harmonies and stuff you know, at the football field.
Yeah.
And my cousin, Ben, he was a producer and he made beats, so he was sampling beats. We'd always go over to his house like every night, late night, and make beats and sing, you know, little demo cassettes and stuff. You know, learning music, learning chords. And then I had an opportunity. My mom, out of all people, I wanted to take it a step further. My mom works at Wells Fargo Bank, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, bless her heart, she still is committed. Man. She's a manager, and her you know, regional manager worked with a guy in the music business, and he just had a hit called Kokomo. You know,
the Beach Boys?
Yeah. So he produced
like
it.
89, 88, 89?
Terry Melcher produced that
Yeah.
song. And so, you know, Terry gave me an opportunity to go in, and he goes, yeah, man, I got this, you know, new studio over here. And it was like when Pro Tools was just kicking off, you know.
Yeah.
And stuff. And so I worked, you know, I went over there and started recording some demos for him and Bruce Johnston of the Beach Boys. You know, it's interesting how we got a little.
And Terry Melcher, for Bobby Lee, if he's listening, all the crime aficionados.
Oh, yeah.
So Dennis Wilson is driving in. Can I say this? Yeah, I mean it's fact. I don't want to make you uncomfortable. Yeah. But Dennis Wilson from the Beach Boys is driving, picks up some hitchhikers, takes them to their house. They're Manson followers, and then Dennis Wilson meets Charles Manson, but they've kind of taken over his house, and they're in there eating and they're doing stuff, and then Charles Manson comes over and he's playing the guitar, and Dennis introduces him to Terry Melcher, and Terry Melcher says, like, this motherfucker's awful. This fucking guy's horrible. And in front of Manson, because I guess that's what was going on. And I think when Terry Melcher testified in the trial against Charles Manson, if you look at what's out there in documentaries, that, you know, Manson wasn't a big dude, but an imposing, and you know what went down. That they even said that Terry Melcher was just, you know, he's a music producer. You know, they're sensitive dudes. You know, they're creators, and that he looked scared coming in. He looked scared on the stand. Never looked at him and left. And Terry Melcher, beyond that, was Doris Day's son. Was never really looking to be known or be seen. Like that. That night in '69, August 69, changed everything, including the path of music. Because then he used Helter Skelter as the song for that. It changed. I don't think a song had been associated with a heinous crime before. And at that time, the revolts, Vietnam, there's a great series of a docuseries on Apple TV called 1971 that had like the SLA and Patty Hearst. They have Marvin Gaye and the Vietnam War, and really all about the music, and the music was about the times, Black Panthers and Angela Davis. My grandmother was afraid of Angela Davis. My grandmother lived in Mission Hill, San Fernando. If I mentioned Angela Davis, my grandmother would freak out. Angela Davis was in Oakland. And she's still around, Angela Davis. I was trying to get a hold of her and tell her that, you know, out of respect for her, I think what she was able to do and create an awareness for, you know, racial situations. But if I would say to my grandmother, give me a ride to school, I'm not going to that direction. I'm going to tell Angela Davis, okay, get in the car. So it's interesting how even your mom at the bank and Terry Melcher at the bank, like all of those things presented themselves. The guy from Sony across the street.
Yeah.
And then your mom worked at the bank and Terry Melcher. And what was the first bit of like a break of sunlight that you got that you said, okay, I could be taking the trip here?
Well, let's see. So some of the demos that we recorded with Terry, and by the way, we never spoke of any of that stuff ever in the long time that I knew him, and he always took care of me, man. Always took care of me and treated me like another.
It's amazing.
And sometimes he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I forgot, man. You're 14, turning 15. I forgot you got to eat. You eat more than we do."
Yeah.
You're right. Anyways, we passed one of our demos around, to some people in LA, and someone named Ron Fair heard it, and he's from RCA at the time, RCA BMG, and they came and drove to Carmel, and Terry, just to, the heart that he was, he put everybody up. He had a hotel out there called the Cypress Inn, in Carmel. And we used to stay there all the time. It's beautiful, beautiful place. And so we put up Ron there. And everything started for me, then. And then, later on, I learned the music business at that time, studios, production, and I loved that time because, Pro Tools was really starting to really kick off inside of studios, and it was kicking over tape, And then they, the big studios were using, Pro Tools and tape. At the same time, so Pro Tools would do all the vocals, and then, they would record the stuff, and then they would print a tape to get that tape sound, but I would just sit there like, always watching our engineer, and like I never leave. When he left, I would go, because I wanted to, learn it all. I was just intrigued, but so some time goes by, and I moved to LA, and I moved, I kind of joke with my folks, and because we say Andy went to the University of BMG.
Sure.
And because there's you read those books, and it says, well, you either you study, you go out, you study the the music business, or you jump right in and you just burn it and you do it. But I think now you really gotta know it well and study it well as you go along, because God knows I've been in so many difficult times, difficult situations and stuff, that, thank God, I'm able to, to be here now. And I've had so many amazing mentors in my life, George. I'm just so grateful, you being one, so grateful for you, man.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
And also, someone who came into my life and just changed my life was Carlos Santana.
Right.
It was interesting because I had recorded my version of Oye Como Va, and we had approached with the label. We had approached Carlos and stuff, and he was working on the beginnings of Supernatural, and all of that. And it was just not the right timing for it, But God had another plan for me, and an opportunity came to audition for, the Supernatural tour, and that's history, joined, I came in and I told you this, Carlos is like, oh, so what do you want to do? And he wants to sing a song, so he gives me the mic and he starts playing smooth,
Right.
And
Yeah.
That's how that all started.
And you've been with him for how long?
So about 21 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So people that see you, I go down to see you guys in Vegas because, I did the same thing with Kobe Bryant. When Kobe Bryant was, the 20 years he was with the Lakers, knowing him before he got married and knowing him all, through his life.
Wow.
That when somebody is that special, you think, I'm going to watch this person perform as much as I can because it's just somebody's that good. And that was the first person that I felt that towards, and then meeting Santana and then becoming really, really tight with them as like brothers. And same thing with Lee Trevino, that I go see Carlos just because I feel like it in Albuquerque, or I saw you guys in Jones Beach with the Doobie Brothers, or in Vegas multiple times, or wherever. But like that guy has always welcomed me as a mentor as well. So, you know, when you see a guy that's been around since before Woodstock and is still viable and creating music and is even more needed now, that you know that a kid that is playing the guitar in the streets of Tijuana can grow up and become that guy with a pure heart and a wonderful soul and encouraging and mentor me and you, that Malas Palabras Records just makes sense on the way that, you know, an opportunity was presented to me in music that I love, and we're going to try to, you know, through all of our knowledge and some of the things that you know, I'll learn, but nothing would make me happier than to make this company work with you and know that Carlos is just a phone call away.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that those guys that, you know, Luke and everybody that, when you get a bite, that I think we can bring in some artists that could break.
Well, without a doubt. Without a doubt, yeah. And Cindy.
Yeah, and Cindy as well.
Carlos
Yeah,
and Cindy.
Yeah. But all right, man. Good. All right, we did it. 818. What is it again? 818-533.
1843.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. And I got high.